Monsters come in all shapes and forms, but for this X-Files episode, the monster was different. It waits in the darkness, watching. It hides for 30 long years in a row before awakening for its feast. It doesn't need a knife or a mask. All it needs is a vent and a victim. Squeeze is different. It's not just a monster story, it's about a mutated killer hiding in plain sight, stalking the living and feeding off them, one organ at a time. Today, we're diving into the episode Squeeze, discovering what makes it just so terrifying and the everlasting legacy of Eugene Toombs. Squeeze aired on the 24th of September 1993, and yes, that is early on in the X-Files original run. In fact, Squeeze is the third episode of the show as a whole. It was a huge leap for the show. The first two episodes had been more alien conspiracy focused. Switching to a bloodthirsty mutated serial killer was certainly a jump the shark moment for the show as a whole. And it paid off. Like nowadays, when most people think X-Files, Eugene Toombs is one of the many images that pops up. So, what actually makes this episode just so terrifying? Let's talk about it. For a basic plot summary, this episode follows Mulder and Scully as they investigate the deaths of multiple people, murdered in a room with no possible entrances. All the evidence points to one singular person, a strange yet unassuming man who goes by the name Toombs. From there, the episode dives headfirst into terror, violence, and despair. This episode was just so important for the X-Files. Being so early on in the series, the creators knew they needed something to keep the audience hooked to keep watching. Like, conspiracies aren't really everyone's thing. So, when the idea of a mutated serial killer capable of contorting his body came up, it was clear what they needed to do. Squeeze showed what the X-Files was capable of. It wasn't just aliens, conspiracies, and an overarching mythology. This was a standalone, brutal deep dive into just how well the X-Files could show horror, crime, and the supernatural. The fear of vulnerability presented in this episode, Toombs squeezing into houses, watching from the darkness, it was just also important in setting up what the X-Files would be known for. Grounded horror. Horror where the monster's just human enough. Okay, so from here on out, I'm talking about the plot. So if you still haven't watched the episode, now's your chance to pause, go watch it, then come back without spoilers. Bright green eyes stare out of a drain. They're piercing, watching. They follow a man walking down the road. This is the next prey. Mulder and Scully are called in to investigate the death of a man found in his office. There's no sign of forced entry, no murder weapons, just a dead man with his liver gone. Mulder, ever the believer, begins his investigation. At first, there's absolutely nothing. That is, until he looks at the past. He finds a pattern. 2 unsolved crimes, one from 1963 and another in 1933. They all match each other. A brutal murder, removed livers, and no possible entry points. Mulder and Scully jump to action, staking out the previous murder site. Mulder doesn't think anything will happen. Why should he return? The doubts are ended, however, when they hear a sound in the vents. They find him, arresting him on the spot. The suspect? A quiet, unassuming man named Eugene Toombs, someone who blends into the background, until he doesn't. Mulder theorizes Toombs is a genetic mutant, capable of contorting his body into places no human should possibly be able to enter. Vents, chimneys, even drains. It's how he enters houses. It's how he feeds. Soon, it's revealed Toombs awakens every 30 years to kill exactly 5 victims and consumes their livers, which sustains his hibernation in a cocoon-like nest made up of newspapers and bile. He's been repeating the cycle for a century, slipping through time, and his feeding season, yet again. Local law enforcement dismisses Mulder's theories as absurd. Even Scully, though unsettled by Toombs, finds it hard to believe what she's seeing. However, when Toombs begins stalking new victims, including Scully herself, it becomes terrifyingly clear that the horror is real. The climax comes when Toombs breaks into Scully's apartment through an impossibly small bathroom vent. A fight ensues, with Toombs ready to deliver the finishing blow. However, Mulder arrives, and the two agents quickly subdue the killer. The episode ends ominously. Toombs is arrested and held in a facility, where he immediately begins work on a new nest, tearing up newspaper, ready for the next hibernation. Mulder knows that this isn't the end. Toombs will return. Maybe not in a year, maybe not 30, but someday. And when he does, someone will have to stop him. This episode is terrifying. Most label it as the scariest, and for good reason. The horror here isn't an alien or a ghost. He's a man. Or was. He walks among people, holds a job, lives life. He's totally unassuming, hiding in plain sight. There's no signs that he's a violent killer or that he's a genetic mutant. It's psychological horror to the max. The monster could be anyone, unnoticed, patient, and hungry. There's also a level of body horror. Toombs' ability to contort his body is subtle but grotesque. Your brain sees it but doesn't like it. Human bodies are not meant to be able to do that. It's a violation of the human body, soul, and spirit. The very idea of a man sliding into places he shouldn't, like a chimney, a vent, a drain, scares us as humans. And alongside that body horror, there's just the very visceral fact that Toombs is a cannibal. The fact he feeds on human livers is disgustingly effective at making the audience feel sickened by his actions. It's parasitic and sickeningly calm how quickly Toombs can work. What I also like about this episode, and what helped makes it so terrifying, is just how claustrophobic it feels. The episode is almost drowning in small, dark, suffocating spaces, whether it be a small apartment, a drain, or a crawl space. It forces the audience to think. Maybe the monster isn't out in the woods, but crawling underneath the floorboards. Oh, and I just have to talk about the main monster, Eugene Toombs. Doug Hutchinson plays him with such an iconic performance, making the whole episode feel tense and exciting. His performance is full of clear restraint. He doesn't snarl, roar, or scream. He just watches with dead eyes, like a predator assessing his prey. He barely speaks throughout the whole episode, preferring to stay in silence. It's a clear message. He doesn't need to speak. He already knows what he's going to do to you. He's quiet, methodical, terrifying. Just like my previous X-Files review of the episode Home, check that out by the way, there is no happy resolution. Sure, the killer is in prison, away from anywhere he can do any damage, but that last lingering shot of the episode where he stares at a small hole in the prison door, it's a great cliffhanger, and it digs into the audience's brains, keeping them thinking about the episode long after it airs. This episode has an important legacy. As I've stated before, it introduced the Monster of the Week format, acting as a testing ground for just how far the creators could push the boundaries. Without this episode, The X-Files would have been an incredibly different show, more focused on conspiracies and aliens. Yet, there's more to why it's important. Mulder and Scully are set up firmly in their iconic roles here. Mulder as the believer, Scully as the skeptic. Mulder proposes the idea of the killings from years ago unashamedly. Scully, on the other hand, doesn't reject the theory, but needs clear proof. This dynamic is iconic to the whole series, and can be seen the most here. This whole episode is brutally effective at what it aims to do. Create a vicious monster, able to break into your mind just as effectively as he can break into a house. Sleep tight, but only after you've checked your vents. Toombs only needs a crack to get in. So, that was Squeeze. I think it rightfully holds its place as one of the scariest X-Files episodes of all times. Toombs reminds us that horror isn't far away. Sometimes, it's right behind you. What do you think? Is Squeeze as scary as people say? Or is there another scary episode? Tell me in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed. I love the X-Files, so if you want to see more, comment and subscribe to the channel. Until then, lock your doors, because it doesn't take much. All it needs is to squeeze.